We open the new RPM series with a look ahead at the Irish racing and rallying season. Who will be winning on the racetracks at home and abroad? What is Formula Palmer? A new stairway to Formula One? And the Seat Super 6, a great rallying opportunity. Whatever happened to that great Finnish-Irish partnership that won the RAC Rally? And what's going to happen this weekend on the AA Circuit of Ireland Rally? Stay tuned to find out.
There is a confusing amount of racing formula in this country, so let's start at the top and work down. Formula Opel come back into the RPM fold this year, and after some fairly sparse grids in 1997, there's every indication that Ireland's premier class may not only just see a revival, but could reach new heights in 1998. Brian Tuite has been tiptoeing through the professional teams to see what they may have in store for us.
When you look around, it is hard to believe that this is club racing in Ireland. But look at the professionalism, and nowhere is it more evident than in the Formula Opel transporters. This is the transporter of Cliff Dempsey Racing, who has only missed out on the championship once in the past 7 years. This year he's got Ken Grandin in his third year of Formula Opel, and he's joined by Noel Dunn, last year's Z-Tech winner.
Basically, you're coming from an 1800 fuel-injected engine to a 2-litre. Now you're still on slick tyres, you have wings, which give you more downforce, more torque your cars. Quicker overall speed, very enjoyable.
It's very much like a karting style. It's my first drive in the car. I thought it was like a big kart. It's brilliant.
With the experience on the team between Wayne Douglas, the head of the team, and Mick Edgar, as well as the mechanics Richard and the rest of the lads, just seem to be getting it together, and hopefully now can do the business this year.
I'm a wee bit rusty, but it's good to get a year out. Once it's in your blood, it's hard to stay away, but the place where I like to be is the front row.
What it is, it's definitely going to be a tight season. I mean, we'll have a bit of time over the rest of the boys today, but it will get tighter as the season goes on.
The Formula Opels are out at Mondello again on Easter Monday, and Vivian Daly leads the championship.
To say moving down would be unkind, so let's move across to Formula Ford Z-Tech, the class that stole much of Formula Opel's thunder in 1997.
As you can see, it's starting off exactly as it finished last year with a full grid of these screaming Z-Techs. So let's go and meet some of the main contenders.
Well, if I look back on last year, fifth wasn't too bad. I was trying to learn the circuits last year, but that was my main downfall last year. The good thing for this year is I know the tracks this time. I'm a lot more prepared for it. I know what I'm getting into this year.
Every point counts, and actually this year now we have a point for pole position and for fastest laps, so it even counts into qualifying now.
Oh, I would say young Shanley's a good wee driver. I would say he'll be in amongst us all. Well, he is right from the start. We were a wee bit surprised, thought he would have been a wee bit further up today, but it's his first Z-Tech race, so but I would say now as the season progresses he will be pushing hard now for the championship. There'll be no doubt about that.
I'd like to carry number one, but if everything goes well, I'd like to be over in England racing next year, but one step at a time.
Dean Neal has proved to be the find of the year in the Ford of Ireland series, where he leads Alan Kelly by a point. The Fords are also on the bill at Mondello on Easter Monday, but for some the year started badly.
If you harbour ambitions of joining the two Irish Eddies on the Grand Prix grids after you've cut your teeth in a Formula Ford or a Formula Opel, well then pack your toothbrush and your balaclava and head for the rocky racing road in the UK. Some of the risk of becoming a professional driver has been eased by someone who should know, Jonathan Palmer. After all, the racing doctor made it to the top, and Donegal driver Damien Faulkner has decided to become one of the pioneers of this novel route through the minefields that bar the way to Formula One.
the problem for aspiring Grand Prix drivers as they try and carve their way up through the field is that it still comes down very much to those that have got the money are going to have the very best chance to get through. And the system still favours that, and with Formula Palmer Audi at last we have a level playing field, it's affordable, and now driver talent can make it through to Formula One rather than the money.
Now, behind us we see this beautiful Van Diemen designed motor car. It really is very impressive, but it's also very quick.
It is. I'm absolutely thrilled with the car. Van Diemen have done a wonderful job. I gave Ralph Furman the brief. I wanted basically a Formula One look-alike, and Dave Baldwin, the designer, has carried it out better than I could ever imagined. But as you say, it's quick as well. We want these cars to be challenging for the guys to drive. We want them to be fun to watch, and that means a lot more power than we've been seeing of late. And this is 250 horsepower of Audi turbo engine. In fact, 270 horsepower when the overboost button's pushed.
Well, now that's a very intriguing part of it. They get 3 charges of this overboost, do they, during a race?
Yeah, what we've done with this is try to address the lack of overtaking that motor racing suffers from. And, you know, if you get cars with the same power, the same weight, the same grip, and the same quality of driver, there will not be a lot of overtaking. So what we've done is given the drivers a button on the steering wheel. When they push the button, the turbocharger boost increases for 5 seconds to a level that takes the power up from 250 to 270, and the software is programmed in the management system so they can only use it 3 times in every race. So they've got to be very careful when they use their three shots of overboost.
Damien Faulkner will be pressing those boost buttons for Ireland, and RPM will be looking in to see if he presses them at the right time.
Formula One, the dream of many but obtained by so few. For me, the much more obtainable goal is to go roaring around in a tin top. And when it comes to window cars, there's plenty of variety to choose from.
The Dunlop touring cars once again top the tin top bill, but multiple champion Michael Cullen will not be present. So that gives people like Mark Turley, Gordon Kellett and John Keeney one less to worry about. Variety comes in the shape of the new Italian Saloon Car Cup, with drivers like Liam Denning, Ed O'Connor and Barry Barrable. Fireworks are guaranteed, and the Unos remain the most popular of all the saloon car classes, with packed grids expected at every meeting.
Racing cars, saloons, but the options do not end there. How about a 2-seater that drives like a single-seater but costs about half the price? Motor racing will never be cheap, but it doesn't have to cost the earth if you start off in a striker.
It's a 1600, basically like the Caterham class. Has 130 brake. We lap around here around just about the same time as touring cars in 105, which we did today. So it's going to be getting faster all the time. There's a good grid of people out, from Des Bruton, Peter Faulkner, Michael Leonard, myself, Phil Ellis. So there's a good grid going out. It's going to be good challenge.
And it's not going to cost an arm and a leg, is it?
No, the cars are quite cheap. You use the Mark II Escort as a donut car, and then the engine is the sealed unit, which should run the year. Tyres, you can use one set of tyres for the season, might have a set for the wet, but otherwise under that, just pay the entry, bit of petrol, off you go, have some fun.
Good news for the wannabe racers, but the biggest news of all for the roundy roundies lies just over this bank. David Byers, you're one of the people responsible for this. Can you tell us what's happening here?
Well, what you see behind me here is the long-awaited extension to Mondello Park. This is the extra mile of track, and we hope to have it ready in the near future. The biggest problem with Mondello has always been that it's perceived as a small, tight track. Although it's a driver's track, it's too slow nowadays. So what we have here is fast, open corners, long straights, and hopefully a hell of a lot more speed when we get going on it.
The circuit extension will give Irish racing a fabulous boost. When the drivers leave the existing track, they accelerate towards an extremely challenging high-speed right-hander at turn 5. This will really separate the men from the boys. Then there's another straight over a brow to turn 6. An open double right-hand hairpin. We should see plenty of overtaking here. Next, following another short straight, there's a tight right followed immediately by a left through turns 7 and 8. Watch out for the curb hoppers at that point. Finally, there is a further left-hander before another straight, which brings us back to the old circuit, just yards from the point where we left it.
Fantastic. And when do you expect it to be complete?
It'll be complete for May the 17th. That's the RSC Super Prix, the big single-seaters, and it should be a hell of an event.
We look forward to it. Thanks, David.
Formula One in May, big sports cars in June, Euro Series in September. Irish racing enters a new era. There are changes also in the north as the Larne Motor Club prepare for the P&O Ferries Ulster Rallycross Grand Prix on the 25th of April. The object of the exercise is to create more overtaking opportunities at Nuts Corner. The start has been moved back and the chicane to the first corner eased. The big change, however, is after the first corner where the loose surface has been extended and the former left-right twist taken out. There are also minor changes to the bottom corner, giving the drivers more runoff area as they go back onto the tarmac.
New circuit is faster. There's a possibility of better racing. There's a few places that maybe we can make passing moves. Some of them are very fast, so it'll be pretty spectacular if we do it.
Is it a bigger challenge to the driver?
No, I think there's less driving in the circuit at the moment. It's faster, you can go through things at a higher speed.
I think you'll have more overtaking manoeuvres. There's a couple of areas that I think in particular which are advantageous and wider and less door banging. It used to always be a problem here trying to get past somebody. I think they've done a good job.
I think the speeds will be up. We'll have a longer start and straight finish, and we'll have a longer straight on the back, so they will be quicker.
In racing, the progression, provided of course you can find the dough, is reasonably straightforward. Yet until recently there was virtually no support for the young up-and-coming rally driver. SEAT has come up with one of the best of the new scholarship schemes, the SEAT Super 6, and 2 young Irish drivers were invited over to the Silverstone Selection Day at the end of last year.
Silverstone in December. No Schumacher, Hakkinen or Hill here. Just 12 very nervous young rally drivers. They have been selected from over 150 applicants and 2 are from Northern Ireland. Today the dastardly dozen will be slimmed down into the SEAT Super 6 and the fortunate finalists will receive an Ibiza to use in the coming season. Stevie Whitford and Mark Fisher face one of the toughest days in their life in the hope of winning one of the most attractive prizes ever offered to an aspiring rally star. During the day, under the direction of rally coordinator Gary Savage, the applicants will undergo 5 tests: fitness, press assessment, driving on a skid pan, and on a race circuit, and finally on the all-important rally stage. Following their press assessment, it's pain, real pain. Complete with a heavy rucksack, the stage stars have to run 6 laps, shoot a bow and arrow, oh dear Stevie, then run another 6 laps and back a quad and trailer through an obstacle course. At last it's down to driving. But the first test behind the wheel is far from straightforward.
It's good so far. I don't know about I don't know about these interviews though.
Move with the times. Really what they're trying to do is simulate the slippery conditions or a forest stage, but what you have to remember is the car's wider because of the skids, so you're aiming for the cones on the apex of the corner and you have to remember that you've got the skids which are 2 feet either side, you know.
On the race circuit there's another surprise. The instructor is not a retired Grand Prix driver but Helen McAlpine, and to a man they are impressed by her driving. Now the question is, can they impress Helen? From lapping with a lady to rallying with a bus driver. But this former busman is also a British rally champion.
I'm really judging their approach to the whole driving initially, how they conduct themselves before they even start off the start line, how they assess the car in the first couple of laps, how they find the balance of the car. The emphasis is not on times, it's purely on driving skills, and I'm basically looking for car control and the good use of gears and engine revs and the balance of the car.
A hectic day, but the most nerve-wracking bit is still to come.
just going to call out the 6 names, and one at a time I'm going to ask you just to come up so that you can have your photo taken with us up here. I'd like to first of all ask up Mike Brown. And then secondly we have Ollie Clark. Stevie Whitford. And then fourth we have Wayne Sisson. And then we have Mark Perot. And then finally, gentlemen, it's Mark Fisher.
2 in the top 6, and that's quite a record for Mark, who has also been a Shell Scholarship winner. But boy, did he sweat for this one. 2 months later, and the scene changes to Bournemouth.
They just want to make sure they get him back safe and sound.
For the first one, I think we just got to go flat out, you know, because there's been, since December, since the selection day, there's been a lot of talk about this, and everybody's been looking forward to it and getting ready for it. So I think when the flag drops tomorrow, we have to go for it and see what happens then.
Mark, with the very experienced Gordon Noble in the co-driver's seat, sets off on a fairly cautious start.
We spent 2 days in Sweet Lamb and Wales with Gwyndaff and the team and Proflex, and we got 2 full days there, so we got a lot of mileage in, all of the boys together, and we were able to sit in with each other and see how each other drove, and you know, so it was very good.
Stevie Whitford also has a high mileage man in the passenger seat in Stephen McCauley, but sadly the pair will not clock out many miles today, as not 1 but 2 faulty drive shafts will put them out of the event with just 2 stages completed. Mike Brown is proving to be the man to beat today, but he nearly overcooks it here. And sadly, Ollie Clark, the son of the late great Roger Clark, will also overcook it. Ollie will roll out of the event. Mark Sissons has already been on his roof, and he will be the 3rd retirement out of the 6. Mike Brown and Alan Davis are dominating the event. Mike will finish the day 13 seconds ahead of his nearest Ibiza rival. These cars, incidentally, are basically built to Group N specification, with upgraded brakes and suspensions. For Mark Fisher and Gordon Noble, discretion has proved to be the better part of valour today. The Super 6 have only got a 50% finishing record, and Mark comes home 2nd. But the point system heavily favours winners, and with only 4 out of the 6 rounds counting, it's not a total disaster for Stevie Whitford. And so it's first blood to Mike Brown.
Silverstone's new rally sprint course, which featured strongly in the Seat Super 6 selection, was also the venue for the revival of the great Finnish-Irish rallying partnership, which made it right to the top of the rallying ladder a few years ago.
The year is 1989, the event the RAC Rally, and the winners Pentti Ricola from Finland on the right and Ronan McNamee from Ireland. 9 years later, the partnership comes together again at the Silverstone Rally Sprint, but the roles have somewhat changed. Pentti is still the driver, but having been out of the limelight for a few years, he's keen to have his swan song in the sport that he's enjoyed so much, and his co-driver now steps in as sponsor to enable the Great Finn to hit the stages again.
Pentti and I started off together in 1985 on the Circuit of Ireland. I co-drove from then in the Vauxhall Astra.
Immediately it seemed to be a very good partnership. We have the same kind of interest, and he's incredibly good in the base notes and organising things. So and I'm very disorganised, so it seemed to work very well.
Pentti was a very professional person and a very competitive person, a tough guy to work with some of the time. We had good fun after the events, but during the events there was always quite a lot of pressure on.
The most satisfying result for me, of a driving point of view, was actually '79 when we managed to win Circuit of Ireland Rally. At the time it was really for men, that event, 5 days, and I remember it started one day after the East African Safari, but it also finished one day after, and then we did hardly any sleep at all, and it was tough event.
The RAC, yes, that was the biggest status event, but the most fun events I had were with Pentti here in Ireland, when we won various classes on rallies here in Ireland.
I'm 52 years old, so clock is ticking, so that's probably my last chance. But if it turns out to be that I can still do it, what I used to do, able to do, then I would like to carry on it in full time, yes.
Sadly, that biological clock may have chimed for the last time for Penty.
On the Saturday morning during the final practice, Penty unfortunately rolled the car, which he seems to have a habit of doing occasionally, and the car wasn't really badly damaged, but unfortunately when it rolled over, the bonnet fell on the track and damaged the timing chain, and unfortunately they couldn't fix the car, and that was the end of it.
Is this the end of a beautiful partnership?
I think it's the end of Ronan sponsoring Penty for the moment. But no, you know, we're very good friends, and I think everybody had a great fun day, and we've had very good times together, and it was good fun.
The Penty-Ronan partnership started on Irish tarmac stages on events like the AA Circuit of Ireland Rally, which of course, as always, is the sporting highlight of the Easter weekend. These are the top seeds to look out for, and all the places to catch up in the action over the next 4 days.
35 stages will be contested by one of the best quality fields in recent years, and as in recent years, it all starts and finishes in Bangor County Down. So let's see where we can catch up with the action over the Easter weekend. After a 10 o'clock start on Friday, there are 4 stages before Ballymena's service, then 3 more before they return to Ballymena. Finally, it's back to Bangor via a further 3 stages. On Easter Saturday, the action starts near Ballygawley. By 10:30, they're in Granville service. Then it's south to Mullingar, arriving at 3:45 at the Hamel stages. 6 tests in all before the Talla overnight halt. They blast round Talla Square after breakfast on Sunday before heading to the Wicklow Mountains and service at Moon. The mountainous loop is repeated, and then there are 2 more stages before they return to Talla. On Easter Monday, it's up to RD by 8:15. Then they tackle 3 stages before Newry service. These are repeated before a final run through the Mourns to the Bangor finish at 2:45. The big buzz of the weekend is that Toshiba have increased their involvement in rallying in Ireland by becoming the new sponsors of the Tarmac Championship. From the Circuit of Ireland Rally, the series will be known as the Toshiba Equium Tarmac Rally Championship. And here's the top 10 for the second round of that series. At number 10, Philip Young, who will be seeing how high he can place a Formula 2 car amongst the Group A machinery. James Leckie returns with a state-of-the-art Subaru Impreza. Davy Greer, second past the post on the circuit in the past, has one of those popular Toyota Celicas. Young Hugh Martin Doherty from Donegal has the speed. Now he needs the experience. Ian Greer has replaced his Celica with a newer model. Then comes the first of the world rally car escorts, Stephen Murphy's. Followed by Eamon Boland's similar example. He was runner-up in the 1997 series. Andrew Nesbitt has at last got that finishing habit, and he's another circuit runner-up. Then it's the battle of the champions, Austin McHale and Bertie Fisher, both 4 times champions and both circuit winners.
Circuit of Ireland highlights will be on RPM in 2 weeks' time.
Then it's racing, rallying, rallycross and much, much more as RPM keeps the revs up on another season of Irish motorsport.